Now, when it comes to China and Russia, they were able to resolve their border dispute, the Ussuri River issue. Why can't India and China do the same? What is stopping India and China from demarcating the India-Tibet border? We've had, I don't know how many rounds of talks. So why isn't that happening?
See, China has views on sovereignty which are based on the unilateral understanding of where the border should be. I remember when they got this ruling from the arbitration court on the South China Sea issue, on the 9-dash line and everything else. The court ruled altogether against them. And Yang Jiechi at that time said that China will not yield an inch of territory bequeathed to it by its ancestors. And I had written at that time that this is they're making a new international law of their own making. That if something has been bequeathed to you by your ancestors, you have a sovereign right on that. So then let every country look at what happened in the past in terms of change of borders and then redraw the borders again. It's absurd. Yes. This is what their view is. And Xi Jinping and others, they are so uncompromising on sovereignty issues. That's one. The other is Tibet. Yes. I don't know why they feel insecure in Tibet. In 1954, we agreed that Tibet is part of China.
Mr. Vajpayee also agreed.
I was foreign secretary then. I know what happened then. Okay. That was a reiteration of the past position. There is no threat that we pose to Tibet. There is no terrorism in Tibet which is supported from the outside, like the cross-border terrorism between Pakistan and us. There is no cross-border terrorism between India and Tibet. So why do they need to militarize Tibet the way they are, the way they are doing? Why do they consider India a threat? Threat to what? There are 2-3 things. One is that in order to keep a hold over Tibet, they want to tell the Tibetans that we are protectors of your territorial sovereignty than the Dalai Lama has ever been, because we claim the whole of Arunachal Pradesh on your behalf.
Okay.
It's your territory.
I see.
That kind of stuff. To build a category of Tibetans who can then be built up as supporters of China and therefore helping them to control Tibet, and then satisfying their nationalist ambitions that we are fighting on your behalf by insisting that these Tibetan territories, your territories, should be returned to you. That is the second. But more important than this is that the Chinese know that the only country that can stand up to them in Asia is India.
Yes.
Japan, South Korea, and all, they can't.
Right.
They can flex muscles a little bit because of the Americans and their alliance, otherwise, which ASEAN countries cannot. So which country can, in terms of size, demography, military power, economic power, cultural power, civilizational power, is India. Yes. And if you look at the history of Asia, Southeast Asia has far greater visible impact of Indian culture than Chinese culture.
Indeed, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they want to keep India under check and under pressure, retard India's regional profile, global profile, build up Pakistan against us, neutralize us strategically so that we keep bogged down in Indian subcontinent, so that they have a free run of Asia and elsewhere. They also see that India is a part of the Western world in some sense, because we are a democracy, we're English speaking, our elites are tied to those countries, this and that. And therefore, India can become a threat, as they probably now realize with the Quad and Indo-Pacific and everything else, that India is becoming more of a challenge. So how to keep India under pressure? That is another thing that they have in mind. The other is that the illogic, the lack of logic in their position. They've accepted the McMahon line in Myanmar, but they won't accept it here.
Indeed, yes.
They won't accept it here. They say, no, at the minimum you should give us Tawang. Tai Bingo, after retirement, years after retirement, made the statement, we can solve the border dispute, but India has to give us Tawang. So I have been saying, and I've been writing on this also, that in 1962, they had Tawang under their control. They gave it up.
Yes.
They didn't give up territory in Ladakh. So what was the compulsion to give up Tawang if they really believed their legal and political case was strong?
Indeed. Yes.
But they gave it up. Now what they gave up, they want to retrieve through negotiations. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. In Ladakh, the argument is that they want to protect that Exciting road, but the Exciting road is no longer very critical in terms of strategy. At one time, the only access to Tibet was through that area. They got rail line and everything else, so it's not critical. But they have this the narrative that they want to protect that, and hence the Depsang plain. They want to block our patrolling and stuff. Plus, of course, pincer movement, Pakistan on that side, China on this side. Basically, what they want is to go back to the 1959 line, unilaterally drawn by them as their line of actual control. And the latest moves have been in that direction, though they have been repelled and therefore have been agreed. They've been forced to agree to a buffer kind of a zone. And finally, they don't want to have this agreement because then it changes their entire policy in South Asia. I don't like that term South Asia. I try to avoid Indian subcontinent. Then they have to distance themselves from Pakistan, then India becomes the partner. So the entire complexion of politics changes. Then how do they keep Pakistan as a strategic barrier to India if they sort of make up with India?